FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, has this program called Fight Back.
Okay.
And the ways you fight
BAC.
BAC, yeah,
Okay.
kind of creative. So the ways you fight back are to clean, separate, cook, and chill. So to clean, you're going to want to wash your hands and surfaces often. You're going to then want to separate your fresh produce from things like raw meat because cross-contamination is a huge issue. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to want to cook to the appropriate internal temperature, especially for meats. And then you're going to want to chill it in the refrigerator.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk about those temperatures. What are some of the rules to follow there?
So for poultry products like turkey and chicken, you're going to want to cook those to an internal temperature of 165 degrees. For ground meat products like hamburger meat, you're going to want to cook to 160. For all other red meats like pork chops and steaks, you're going to want to cook to 145 degrees.
Let's talk about those 4 core practices that we were just chatting about. The refrigerate promptly, because so often, I mean, even in our newsroom, food just stays and sits out for hours.
Right.
Or when we go to a holiday party, the same thing. You know, you're kind of eating that dip that's been there for a while. What's the rule of thumb?
Okay, well, my grandmother and my aunts drive me crazy with this as a food scientist because we have a big potluck and they bring the potato salad and it sits out there for hours. Yeah. Bacteria grow very easily on food, so when you finish cooking your food, the rule of thumb is you need to refrigerate within 2 hours.
Within 2 hours.
Within 2 hours.
So kind of reheating that dip that's been sitting out, will that kill any bacteria that's been there, though? Like if you're doing like a hot dip.
Right. So if you've already refrigerated those items, you want to cook those to 165 degrees. You want to rewarm those up. And remember, during the holidays, the food thermometer is your best friend.
All right. And let's talk about the refrigerator for a moment, too. What's the temperature there? Because I always get so confused because it's like cold, colder, frozen. Where do you kind of need to fall?
So bacteria grow best between temperatures of 40 and 140 degrees. So you want to make sure that you keep your refrigerator below 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
And let's talk about the use-by dates. We always talk about these a lot of times with you. What's the rule of thumb there, too?
So anything that says use by, sell by, best if used by, those are not based on safety. And in fact, the FDA does not regulate those dates. The only exception is with infant formula. So if you have a use by date with infant formula, you do need to throw that out. For everything else, like milk, that's based on quality. Now, here's another trick with the use by dates. Mm-hmm. If you smell your milk and it's sour, obviously you're going to throw it away. There are 2 types of bacteria. Spoilage organisms that spoil your milk, make it smell sour, and pathogenic organisms like what you see in the ground beef, which can cause you to become sick. Mm-hmm. The pathogenic ones don't necessarily smell or have any taste. So just because you smell your milk and it seems okay doesn't mean that there's not bacteria growing in there. So you really want to watch how long you keep some of those products.
Well, great advice, and hopefully, we'll keep our guests healthy and not mad at us, Well, we appreciate it, Dr. Wallace. Thanks so much for coming out and joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.